everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Outside Line Podcast. The Outside Line Podcast. Outside Line Podcast.
Hang on to her, buddy. There's still three. He got him. He's
It just makes sense. It's too logical for them, for NASCAR, though.
Carson.
I'm glad you hear us, NASCAR. Make sure you keep listening. We'll see what happens. I'm going to take a breath here. That was a long rant.
Those cars are a lot tougher than an F1 car.
Yeah, that's what I like about IndyCar. You really need the spotter.
This is going to be fun. That was a wild weekend of racing.
I enjoyed Indy 500. I really did, but the red flags, though.
Yeah,
excessive.
We will talk about that in just a minute. I talked about this in the article that was posted on BSP a couple days ago with Joseph Newgarden finally getting his first Indy 500 win in his 12th attempt at the race. It started P17, so pretty deep. He was actually at the start of the back half of the field, and he only led 5 laps. He only led 5 laps.
Important lap.
Correct. And that's how he won it. He won on a last lap pass on Alex Palou. So
it's Marcus Ericsson.
But it wasn't Marcus Ericsson. My apologies. You are totally correct. I've just got my head in the clouds, I guess, with Palou.
Well, he did win at Detroit.
I guess. Anyway.
He also led 36 laps in the Indy 500, but it just didn't work out the way he needed it to.
Yeah, that was not a great situation with him and Rinus VeeKay on pit road.
I did say watch the Swedes in the last episode.
You did.
And Marcus Ericsson almost won it. In a way, you could argue that he should have won it.
I think he should have won it.
I don't disagree. I think the fact that they kind of push the limits with their rules, they're kind of going back to green with the one to go. And I understand it's the Indy 500 and everything, but, there is a point that you still got to stick with what you've got, what you've had for the entirety of your series. So that's what was kind of difficult about that. But nonetheless, I mean, Marcus Ericsson drove his butt off. And so he, I said it last week when we were asking who we thought we would win. And I was kind of against picking Marcus Ericsson because he had won in prior years for, a lot can happen and stuff like that. We saw what could happen at the end of this race and exactly why, he wasn't able to get that win. But I'll say this, I think after this weekend and after seeing what he did at the Indy 500 last weekend, I think Marcus Ericsson is going to be a 2-time, maybe a 3-time Indy 500 winner before his career is over. I don't think he has tasted his last drink of victory milk. That's for sure.
I also think he'll be a champion too before his career is over.
100%.
Oh yeah.
And it's a shame that F1 treated him the way they did because he's a good, talented driver.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just didn't like that ending because I agree with Ericsson that it was dangerous. It's the Indy 500. It's a very fast oval, and it's a race that everyone wants to win. It's practically more important than, I'd say, the championship. And then putting it on essentially a green-white checker, I thought that was very dangerous.
Well, and I think especially to Ericsson's point, having seen what had transpired in the laps before and some of those crashes and obviously the flip of was it Kyle Kirkwood that flipped?
It was Kirkwood.
Yeah, the flip of Kyle Kirkwood, like all that sort of stuff that sits in your brain, and you think like they were racing in for 12th or whatever. They were racing in the back to pack. The hell's going to happen up front with a lap to go for the Indy 500, and there's 5 guys all hungry to win it. I could definitely understand why he would feel that's unsafe, especially because you go out there, the tires got cooled off, so there wasn't going to be as much grip in the tires. It was definitely a dangerous situation, and it kind of makes you wonder too, right, with how things kind of played out. had they have gotten more laps on those tires, it might have been a very different finish. Maybe Marcus Ericsson doesn't finish in second. Maybe he wins the race with more laps on those tires. I think that really played an effect into how things went at the end of the race, and I think it, at the very least, right, you could definitely say it showed who was, Newgarden was willing to, wreck or win at that point, because of the car is really on edge when the tires are cold. So those guys were pushing to the very limit that they could. And I feel like Newgarden just was able to push it a little harder and show his skills, and he came away with the win. But, to Chris's point, Ericsson definitely probably should have been the winner of this race.
And to be fair, we're not saying that that Newgarden didn't deserve to win. He 100% did deserve to win. He drove a fantastic race. And so did Ericsson. Ericsson just kind of got caught out with
the bad luck.
A controversial red flag.
Yep. Yeah, I was not happy about it, about the red flag at the end, because of knowing how fast they were going around the speedway, all through qualifying and testing and through the race. I thought that somebody was going to get killed. I legitimately thought someone was going to get killed, whether it be a fan or a driver or whoever, because you just don't know. But thankfully, did not turn out that way, especially with the fact of the tire of Kirkwood's car coming off and launching itself right next to the grandstands, which was super, super scary.
I was a lot grimacing when I saw that.
Yeah.
I was paying more attention to the tire than I was Kirkwood. I was like, please don't go into the stands. Please don't go into the stands.
Yeah, no. I saw it launch, and that's all that I followed. And yeah, that was super scary. Thankfully, nobody got hurt.
Somebody got a new car out of it.
Somebody did get a new car out of it. Got to kiss the bricks. I did see that on social media. But overall, it was a crazy and a good Indy 500. Probably one of the best we've seen recently. I don't know how it would stack up to last year's race.
Let me ask you all the real question. A question that everybody's wondering. What happened to the tire?
The tire? You didn't see what happened?
No, I mean, what happened afterwards? Who got it?
Oh, I don't know. I saw the clip, though, of where the tire hit. It hit a lady's car, and IndyCar's actually getting her a new car, which is very nice. But I don't actually know where the tire itself went. But we were talking about it with my family when we saw it happen, and I was like, they had showed the one angle, and you see the tire going just into the parking lot, and you're just like, oh God, like somebody got hit with a terrible foul ball today. My goodness.
Yeah, heck, maybe that can go into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. You never know.
If it was my car, I would fight to keep the tire.
Hey, fair. Let me keep the tire, and then you give me a new car. That works.
Exactly.
I mean, I have a buddy. He bought a race used tire. I think it was 2001 Casey Atwood's tire in NASCAR at Brickyard 400. I think that's what he said. He bought it for $20, and it's just sitting in his room.
Nice. It's just chilling.
He doesn't know what to do with it. Just sitting there.
So, yeah, a very wild Indy 500 with Joseph Newgarden finally getting his first Indy 500 win. First American we've seen win since 2016 with Alexander Rossi. Oh, really? Marcus Ericsson second, Ferrucci third, Palou fourth, Rossi fifth, Dixon sixth, Takuma Sato seventh, Connor Daly eighth, Colton Herta ninth, and Rinus VeeKay rounding out the top 10. And that, with all that being said, that brings us to Detroit with the new street course circuits. Oh, wow. Harsh.
Was
that you, Chris? Did you do that?
Nope, wasn't me.
No, wasn't me.
Who did that?
Yeah.
Was it your dog?
It might have been. Hey, I'll just be honest with you. I didn't love this racetrack. I really didn't. I was not a fan of this racetrack, and I think that the amount of guys who just biffed it into the wall. I mean, crap, we were under caution, and 2 of them went right into the wall. And who were the 2 that went into the wall under caution? Remind me.
Ray Hall was one of them.
Who was the one that came in after?
Oh, I'd have to look it up.
Because the one
it was Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson came in after, and I know that you could say Ray Hall was there, but Peterson was coming through that corner. He was gonna smack the wall whether Ray Hall was there or not. So this track was just not my cup of tea. I mean, we're smacking walls like it's a freaking IndyCar game, and we've got a F1 game, and we got flashbacks, and we don't. So I just wasn't a fan of the circuit. I don't know why we can't go back to the actual circuit that is in Michigan, but you know, it is what it is. It was a solid race. Congratulations to Alex Below.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand why they moved it away from Belle Isle either, honestly.
This is why.
But yeah, and then poor old Grosjean.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Grosjean did another Grosjean, unfortunately.
I wondered with how he was acting. It had it in the back of my mind, his reaction to the crash, this most recent one. Maybe his job could be in trouble. Maybe Michael is not happy with him.
I'm starting to think that as well, because Grosjean should have won at least one race at this point this year. Should have won at least probably 2 races last year, and he's wrecked out. 4 or 5 times up to this point this year.
Let's go through it.
It's crazy. St. Petersburg,
that
Texas.
One wasn't his fault. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with that one.
Yes, but he's still DNF'd that one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
St. Petersburg, Texas. Did he wreck in Alabama? I don't think he did.
No. He finished on the podium, I believe, in Alabama.
Okay. Indy and Detroit.
He second in Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay.
The part that I struggle with is he's just not running up front like at all. I mean, he led all of his laps he's led this season came in Alabama where he finished second. Otherwise, he led 2 laps at the PPG 375, the second race of the season, and then at St. Petersburg he didn't lead. He led 31. So all of his laps led came in the first 3 weeks, and he has not led a lap since then. And so I think that's a problem.
When he's finishing, though, he finishes on the podium, which is kind of a conundrum, as they call it, with Michael, because he has talent. It's just that I think he's starting to feel some pressure because his job might be in trouble with Michael. And I don't know. I just got a feeling Michael doesn't have a lot of tolerance right now.
Definitely think the leash is very short right now, and I think that it adds to the pressure. But look, I'll say this: I'm not saying that he will, be able to really turn things around. But if we see him turn things around, it could be very historic. I'll say that much.
I mean, I think he'll win a race still. He's due.
He should focus on finishing one first.
Michael Schumacher said, in order to finish first, you must finish.
Correct. You have to run all of the laps that the circuit requires. Unfortunately, he has failed to do that many times this season. So,
I wonder if his reputation in F1 could be hurting him right now too, because he had a bad reputation in F1 for crashing.
Oh yeah.
Started with that crash in, I think it was 2013, 2012, something like that, where he pretty much wrecked Alonso's chance of winning the championship that year and beating Hamilton. No, it's Vettel. Yeah, it's Vettel. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of where it started, and he was suspended for a race. And then, of course, his last race, which we're all grateful that he survived, and Bahrain.
He almost died.
Yeah. But I never quite understood that crash. Why he just went into the wall like that.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's definitely a question you gotta start thinking about now because Michael Andretti's one of those guys who's pretty strict with his drivers. He always has been. So I'm starting to think the pressure is starting to get to Grosjean right now because he has not put out the results to win. He's got his podiums, but not his victory lane results.
How much will that camera angle of him smacking himself on the helmet? How much will that how will we view that by the end of the year? Is this the point where things turn around, or was that the point where we all started to notice that things were already too far gone?
The beginning of the end.
Exactly.
I think I agree. Yeah.
That moment might be very indicative of what happens in the future.
Now, see, I love Michael Andretti. He gives off a cranky vibe to me. I love it.
You want to be honest about something? I've never liked Michael Andretti in my life.
That's blasphemy. That's like saying you don't like Dale Jr.
Oh, I guess I'm going to get struck by lightning in here in a few minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
Dale Jr.
Nice. Pac-Man.
Keep calm and collect diecast.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice one.
Anyway, no, I've really never been a fan of Michael Andretti. I just because he's not the kind of guy you would expect to be, around Mario Andretti, because of Mario's, kindness and humbleness and racing talent. Michael's a great driver. Don't get me wrong, but I've just never liked Michael Andretti.
He's just one of those guys, huh?
Yeah, and I don't mind Marco, but I don't like Michael Andretti. It must be a me thing.
Well, it was before my time, but I remember reading stories about when he was in F1 for that half season. And Michael Andretti always claimed that McLaren sabotaged him because they wanted to have him as a placeholder or something like that until Mika Hakkinen was ready. And Mika Hakkinen claimed that it was because he didn't do well because he refused to make that commitment to move to Europe, which honestly I think a little bit of both is true.
Yeah.
And two, Senna was his teammate that year, so it's kind of hard to compare yourself to Senna.
Yeah, no one. You can't compare Ayrton Senna to anyone, in my opinion.
Schumacher.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So where were we again? We talked about Detroit, and then we ended up talking about Michael Andretti.
We were kind of on topic.
Yeah, we were definitely on topic. So let's talk about the winner, Alex Palou. Led 74 laps, had the dominant car of the day, started on pole, and I thought for a while that Power was going to get him, but just Palou had a fast race car. So Palou extends his championship lead. So as of right now, Palou leads the way with 273 points. Then comes Marcus Ericsson at 222. Then Newgarden at 203. Scott Dixon at 194. So he's starting to climb his way back up into the points game. Pato at 191. He came into Detroit and Indy in third, but after 2 DNFs in a row. That's hurting his championship hopes. Rossi 176, Scott McLaughlin 175, Will Power 172, Herta at 149, and Rosenquist at 148. So still got some races to go, but I want to talk about 2 McLaren teammates that have been butting heads recently, especially yesterday. Alexander Rossi and Felix Rosenquist. Let me tell you, that was kind of crazy to watch them 2 butt heads for a while.
I'm starting to get the vibe that Alexander Rossi might be. I don't want to say he's not talented or anything like that. I'm starting to get a feeling though he might be a little bit hard to deal with, be a teammate. Because remember,
because he's hard-headed,
and him had those issues, and now it can maybe something could be growing with Rosenquist and Rossi. I am wondering if he could be not a toxic teammate, but what's the right word for it?
Hard-headed?
Yeah, maybe. Or as NASCAR would put it, boneheaded. Bonehead is a NASCAR term. But yeah, I don't know. I just kind of get that feeling with Rossi. And I absolutely I think that's good for the sport too. Him being boneheaded like that.
Oh, 100%. Because we need some more, a little tempers and action in IndyCar because we don't see that often.
That reminds me of Will Power about 10 years ago when he flipped off the camera or flipped off the officials and they caught it on camera.
Oh, yeah, I have the photo actually saved on my phone. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, it was at I remember what race that was. That was at Loudon because it started raining and the officials did and they all wrecked on the restart and the officials said, "Nah, the track's good. We'll be fine." And they threw the green anyway and everyone wrecked.
I still want to see Will Power and Kyle Busch fight. I remember when he said that.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Still would. Hey, and we almost had a chance for the 2 of them to be winners this weekend. We could have a winners brawl. The fight will happen the weekend that they both win the same weekend.
I still put my money on Will Power though. He's Australian.
He's got some fight in him. I mean, those Australians down there, I've heard from a friend who went down there. They got to fight kangaroos. No, I'm just kidding. I can't confirm or deny whether or not they're fighting kangaroos, but they've got kangaroos down there. And if anybody's seen Kangaroo Jack, kangaroos do not mess around. So I imagine an Australian guy, he's going to be able to beat up a kangaroo, and you got to be tougher than a kangaroo. And I can tell you, Kyle Busch is not. So let's just put it that way. Why I feel Will Power would win.
All right. Shall we move on to Road America before we start a war?
No.
Go for it.
No? Okay.
No. Let's start the war. I like to watch the world burn.
Oh, chaos. So, yes, our next race for IndyCar is Road America, one of my personal favorite tracks in America. Actually, what I consider, and this is going to be a spicy take, what I consider the best road course in America. It's up there. It's definitely up there with Watkins Glen, but that's my personal opinion. Of course, last year's winner is one of the hottest IndyCar drivers on the circuit right now, and that is Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for him next weekend. So it's going to be, it's either going to be between Newgarden, Palou, or maybe Rosenquist. I think Rosenquist will have a good shot there next weekend or in a couple weekends.
Yeah. Now, going back to Road America, I love the track, don't get me wrong. but there's one very dangerous spot in it that I absolutely hate. It's going into the it's right before you hit the finish line at the front straight, and there is a unprotected concrete wall that is at an angle there, and I always hated that wall, and that's asking for trouble. If when you turn on TV and watch them do a couple laps, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's on the start-finish straight right after the last turn, and that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Right. Well, I mean, we've seen some pretty nasty crashes there in the past, but hopefully nothing happens in the future. So,
Yeah.
but if something does, that's racing. That's the unfortunate part of motorsports. So, like I said, expect Joseph Newgarden to be at the front on the weekend of. It's actually the same weekend as the Canadian Grand Prix, so June 16th to June 18th.
The weekend NASCAR is off.
Yeah, exactly. So we will still have content and racing to hold us over for the off week of NASCAR. So look forward to that. It's going to be fun. And yeah, like I said, we are definitely looking forward to that because that's one of my personal favorite tracks, let alone road courses in the world. Gentlemen, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, who needs to turn it around at Road America? Poor old Graham Rahal.
Yeah.
He's having it worse than Roman Grosjean right now.
His luck the last month has been non-existent.
I think he's one of the all-time unluckiest drivers in IndyCar history.
His luck is like a heart monitor right now. Keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. It's crazy.
Poor guy still hasn't won a race in I don't know how long.
It's been at least, I think we said last time. I've actually got my old notes from last time. It has been since 2017, I believe, at Detroit. So it's been literally 6 years since he's won a race.
I like Graham Rahal. He kind of has one of those personalities that I absolutely love. He's slightly cranky. He reminds me a little bit of AJ Foyt. AJ Foyt's cranky.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's an old man, so he's a cranky old man. And he's from Texas. And me being from Texas, I have a little bit of a soft spot for him. Not Graham Rahal, AJ Foyt. Anyways,
do we have anything more to say to expect from Road America? Because I don't have anything more to say. I think I've went on my rant.
I expect a good race.
Would you say, Chris?
Who's going to be our picks?
I mean, I could be cheap and pick Newgarden, but I'm not. So I'm going to pick Scott Dixon.
Okay, I can see it. Let me think. I have to really think about this. I don't think Newgarden's going to do it. I think he'll have a good finish, but I don't think he'll do it.
I'm going Alex Below 2 weeks in a row.
There you go.
I'm thinking I want to say Marcus Ericsson. And my dark horse will be Pato. And the reason why I say he's a dark horse is because he's had terrible luck lately.
Yeah, he probably could have had a shot at winning Indy, but he's had some pretty bad luck recently.
Yeah.
So those are our picks for Indy. We've got a lot to talk about with NASCAR, so let's just go ahead and get right into it.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this most recent edition of the Outside Line podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to check us out on Spotify at The Outside Line. And if you liked Christopher, Jacob, and I's opinions, make sure to check us out on Bag Sports page for more articles and opinions about F1, NASCAR, and IndyCar. Thank you again for watching The Outside Line.